The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
Welcome to Real Agriculture's Canola School series. I'm Kara Oosterhuis. I am here today with Justine Cornelsen, who is an agronomy specialist with the Canola Council of Canada, and we are here to talk about Verticillium Stripe. How is it going today?
Good. Not too bad. I'm excited to talk about verticillium because it's a new plant disease that we get to work with.
So what can you tell me a bit about it?
Yeah, so verticillium, familiar with the species. We've dealt with it here in Manitoba in potato production, Verticillium dahlia. The species that we found in canola, though, is Verticillium longisporum, and we've been recalling it Verticillium stripe. So there's lots of different namings out there, but we're sticking with Verticillium stripe. It is a soil-borne disease, so it'll be very similar in its ways like clubroot. Different life cycle, but it is a soil-borne disease, so it is taken up by the root, and we typically see striping or this wilting symptoms from the plants later on in the season. It looks very similar to sclerotinia plants that will just pretty well shred and are very fragile. The key kind of distinguishing feature with verticillium is, though, it has mycosclerotia all underneath the stem epidermis. So once you peel back that outer layer, that's where you see these tiny, tiny little black specks across it, which are the mycosclerotia.
So what sort of damage does it do to the canola plant?
So we're still trying to figure out yield loss here in Canada. Over in Europe, it is a species that they deal with within their oilseed rape production, and they see upwards of anywhere from 10 to 50% yield loss. So we are starting to understand this disease here in Canada a little bit more. We figure the impacts won't be as significant as they are over in Europe just due to different growing conditions. And also we're growing spring types here, so a condensed growing season. But yeah, we are starting to figure that out depending on the conditions. It really likes hot, dry weather. So the last few summers, it's done very well for itself. And then with our delayed harvests, we're starting to see more of those symptoms pop up and would be contributing to some sort of yield loss in crops.
Are there any current treatment options, or is it still way too early?
Yeah, we're still a little too early for any sort of treatments or best management practices. We're just really basing the management practices off of European recommendations. So extended crop rotation, very similar to clubroot. That being said, if you can extend it out to 2 or 3 years, you're still going to have a population remain within the soil. The mycosclerotia are very hardy and they can live for quite some time, but you are going to have some die off within a cropping or a shorter cropping sequence. We're starting to look, there's no fungicide applications, no soil amendments to date. We're starting to explore our genetic resistance to it. So I know that we've been screening Canadian germplasm. Within field trials or variety trials, I have seen differences. So it's all nothing science-based yet. We're still working on that to determine exactly what type of tolerance or resistance we are working with within our germplasm.
Okay, and it is currently only really seen in Manitoba, correct?
Yeah, so a few years back, I think 2015, CFIA did an extensive survey. So they found it all across the prairies, actually all the way to Quebec. So the species is here and it's present, but we're only really seeing reports of it within Manitoba. So each year within the canola disease surveys that are done within each of the provinces, we're only seeing reports in Manitoba kind of spike up, or producers that are actually seeing something in their field that doesn't quite look right. And I know I've been able to find it all across Manitoba. So up into the northern regions, down to the south, out east, west. It is widespread across the province.
Since you guys are drawing parallels to clubroot, are you recommending sanitation in the same sort of way that you would with clubroot?
Yes, yeah, very similar, right? Anytime you're going to move that soil, you have the potential to be moving the mycosclerotia within it. Because they are so tiny, not as tiny as clubroot spores, but they are pretty tiny, you are going to be moving them within soil. So you have that potential to be spreading them from field to field and any sort of equipment. So we're not at the point of understanding what products actually kill the mycosclerotia yet, but basic sanitation protocols of just knocking off big clumps of dirt are are really going to help minimize that spread of it.
Okay, awesome. Anything else you'd like to add about it?
No, just, to be proactively scouting producers if you are, or agronomists if you are seeing something that doesn't quite look right or doesn't quite match up to blackleg or verticillium, definitely submit samples in. The provinces have free diagnostic labs to submit samples in, so I definitely recommend you submit that because if you're not dealing with verticillium, right, you're probably dealing with blackleg or alternaria or something else. So to know what you're dealing with is going to really change your management practices. So that's just one easy thing that we can do just to know what we're dealing with.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.